Hello, friends. I must congratulate you for taking a very important decision to learn online. Now, when you take a decision to learn something online, this requires a different type of commitment, a very, very professional approach, dedication, perseverance. Then only you can learn online. If I conclude all the things in one word, that is self discipline. Without having a very strong self discipline, learning online is not easy. There is nobody else who is supervising you. You are your own supervisor. If you are committed, you are dedicated, only then the results are going to be there. And when I say professional approach, it means all excuses given up. In this video, I am sharing certain rules for serious study. And this is the first video before you formally start in the regular course. And if you follow the rules which I'm going to share, certainly success is yours. All the best. Now, the very first rule required, right? Always have notebook and pen ready. Rule number one. If you are learning something, don't just listen. Always have your notebook and pen ready and keep on taking notes. So if you have not picked up your notebook and pen, please pause the video, pick up your notebook and pen, and then we will continue. Okay, you can pause. I am following. So I told you rule number one, you must always have pen and a notebook. I've intentionally mentioned notebook. I've not said paper. Loose papers, you take a note and tomorrow it is kept somewhere. Next time you never see that, it is as good as never written. Formal notebook is required. Right. So this notebook you are going to use for a certain period of time, and at some point of time, if you follow the technique which I'm going to share, you will revise this number of times. And once the techniques are, or you start following the rules sincerely, these become part of your regular life. Throughout life, you will get the benefit of learning. Okay. So number one, pen and notebook. Number two, rule number two. Now this is a little detailed. There has to be a fixed time and place. There has to be a fixed time and a fixed place. Now let me explain you one by one what I mean by this. First is about the time. When the courses are online, availability is 24/7, 365, but it does not mean that you keep on changing your time every moment, every day, or whenever it is convenient to take up for the study. Whenever there is extra time that you can certainly make use, but there has to be a fixed time for study, for learning, irrespective of your age, irrespective of the stage in your career. Wherever you are, you may be a successful corporate executive, you may be a very good professional, or you may be a student. Doesn't make a difference. Principle remains same for everyone. There has to be a fixed time. Now when it comes to time, what is normally selected? Late evening, night study. Now friends, tell me one thing. You have already worked for the whole day. You're physically almost exhausted, mentally you are tired, and then you want to put in some more information in the mind is not in the receiving mode. Simply you end up killing the time. Simply you end up killing the time. A study always has to be with a fresh mind and fresh body. Your body should not feel tired or exhausted. Your mind should not be involved into number of things which have gone throughout the day. So I always recommend the time has to be early morning hours. In early morning hours, there is no disturbance, even no sound disturbance from outside as well. No phone calls, no TV, almost no disturbance. Late night, all these types of disturbances are always there. And from health point of view, sitting late is certainly a reason for acidity and gas. And these two are the reasons for number of health ailments. That for that reason also you should avoid late hours study. If you are early riser, good enough. Otherwise, slowly develop a practice of getting up early, and every day early morning 1 hour study is good enough rather than 3 hours every day study late night. My own experience, and I'm sharing experience of my last 3 decades. So early morning hours are always better. Quite possible you say I cannot get up early morning, I cannot sit late evening. Okay, at least the time should be fixed. This is something like a meditation, or whenever you have read or you have attended any lecture or any seminar or any webinar on meditation, everybody has always suggested that there is a fixed time, fixed place. Study is not less than meditation, completely focused. So if you keep on changing the time, your body cycle is always changing. It is not always in the receiving mode. So I told you, if you have extra time, make use of that for learning, for revision, for fresh reading. That is okay, but at least one time you should fix and strictly follow that time. Right? Then comes a place. The place should also be fixed. Your study place should not change on day-to-day basis. Sometime in the bedroom, sometime in the drawing room, sometime in front of the television, sometime in the class, on the study table. That should not happen. Never ever sit for study or learning in the bedroom. Number one. Not in front of TV. Don't keep on changing the place. The place has to be fixed. Now, as far as this place is concerned, there may be a study table, there may not be a study table. I'm not saying that everyone should have a study table, but the place should be fixed. Now, this place, number one, this has to be completely decluttered. Or you can say completely organized, a clean and clear place. You can experience when you go in a room which is organized, you have a different feeling as compared to the room which is not organized properly. Number two, there has to be a proper ventilation. There has to be proper lighting. If brightness is missing, very soon you start feeling tired and feel exhausted. Study gets disturbed. Fixed place, completely decluttered, ventilated, and properly lighted. When you start preparing for study, Then comes, I'm putting the title study table, but this does not mean you need to have a table. Whichever place you have, this study table. Again, this should be completely decluttered. Only one subject. Maybe you have to study 5 subject, 10 subject, 20 subject, that is okay, but at one point of time your study table or the place of study will have books of only one subject. And I'll recommend even one book also, not multiple books, because at any point of time you are going to refer one book only, right? So decluttered means one subject, one book, notebook, pen, paper, everything ready, right? If possible, ensure that there is some soothing fragrance also, if you can manage. Ensure that this is not something synthetic, something soothing. Fresh flowers, good enough. Sandal smell, good enough. Something soothing. Don't use chemicals. Number 3, keep water ready. So don't have to get up again and again for having the drinking water, because when you find difficulty, your mind demands water again and again. And in the course of study, it is going to happen. So keep water always handy, right? So I told you declutter table, only one subject, one book, no, pen, paper, calculator, whatever you need, everything should be there, right? Then soothing fragrance, as well as arrange water properly. So don't have to get up every 10 minutes. Okay. Rule number 4. This is follow Einstein pattern. This is a very powerful technique for study. This I'll explain you sometime during the course. If you are following this, anybody who follows this can become brilliant. But you must know what is the Einstein pattern. This is very powerful tool for learning study techniques, and this I will share you in the course. And the next comes number 5. This is something problematic. This is making notes. Now, notes are meant for your own reference. Those are not meant for sharing. And you cannot borrow notes made by somebody else. Notes are for your reference. Notes are meant for the purpose of quick revision. So you have to decide your own way how the notes should be prepared. But you cannot prepare notes unless you have revised the chapter or the topic at least 3 times. If you are reading and copying in the notebook, reading and taking the note in the notebook, it is a waste of your time. You are copy pasting, you are not making notes. Notes are brief, those are meant for quick reference, those are meant for revision, those are something that is something personal. Neither you will share your notes nor you will borrow a note from anybody else, because the perception of preparing the notes or the orientation is different. So neither share yours nor borrow from anybody else. Somebody wants your notes, you can very well give it, but you know exactly what you have written there, and the other person may not know. So that's why I'm saying your notes are not to be shared. I'm not saying don't share, but no purpose, because you know what is written and why it is written. Okay, so when you are making the notes, now in the process of making notes, these notes should be either in the form of bullet points or maybe in the form of charts, or in the form of mind maps. I'm not saying prepare descriptive detailed notes. You can very well prepare, but by making the descriptive notes, you simply end up killing your time, and that is a very, very serious or criminal waste of your time. Rather, if you spend time for revising, revise that topic or the chapter for minimum 3 times and then make notes in the form of bullet points, in the form of charts, in the form of mind maps, and then this will make the subject easier for you, because these are prepared only when you understand. Without understanding, you if you are noting down something, it is copy paste. So without understanding, if you make the notes, friends, those are not of any use. So prepare notes after understanding. So read the topic or the chapter minimum 3 times before you prepare the notes. And these notes should be the most important thing. These should be handwritten. Never ever prepare notes on computer. You can prepare, but initially notes should be handwritten. When you are writing something with the handwriting keeps your mind always awake. You see, when you are holding the pen, right, you are pressing the pen with the 3 points of fingers and the thumb, two fingers and the thumb at least, right? So these are directly connected to your brain. Your brain is consistently active when you are writing. Handwritten. That's why I'm strongly recommending the notes should be handwritten. These should not be prepared in the on laptop or on computer. Now, once the notes are prepared, then comes number 6, revision. What is called revision and how the revision should be done, when revision should be done, how many times revision is required, there is a fixed pattern. Generally, if you ask yourself how many times did you revise before appearing for exam, you said once or twice or thrice or 4 times or 5 times. That is more than enough. Not at all. If you understand what is the meaning of revision, you will find that 5-10 revisions are very less. But if you know the technique how to revise, only then you can do revision 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. But there is a technique. Without knowing the technique, always you will find that every subject is having 1,000 pages. How do I revise it 10 times? Certainly you cannot, because you are rereading, you are not revising. And I'm against rereading. I want you to read only in the beginning, once, twice or thrice before you prepare the notes, and then later on revision is a different pattern. So how the revision is done and what should be the revision pattern, that I'll explain you during the process of my complete course. Right. So when you're going through the course, I'll keep on telling you everything, as I told you about the Einstein pattern. So that also I'll explain you revision pattern. This also I'll explain you in the process of the complete course. Number 7. This comes writing practice. Now, preparing notes is one part. This is not sufficient writing practice, because if your exam is descriptive, you have to write. And if you don't have a writing practice, you cannot write all of a sudden for 2.5 hours or 3 hours. So this is one of the reasons that your paper is always left incomplete. Start practicing handwriting. Minimum 25 to 30 minutes every day, and increase it by 5 minutes every week. Right? So 25 minutes you can start even today also. Right? Continue for at least one full week, 25 minutes. Keep a stopwatch. Write for 25 minutes. Whatever you want to write, because we are developing writing practice. Right? So maybe if you're writing something what you have read, it is much better. But if you write something different but write for continuously for 25 minutes, that is improving your handwriting, improving your speed, and certainly it is keeping your mind engaged. And when your mind is engaged, that is a meditation. Okay. Then comes number 8. After writing practice, then take test. This is something which everybody wants to avoid directly or indirectly. But this is one way of testing yourself whether you have understood the things correctly or not. Number two, whatever you have learned, whether you have learned it for the purpose of application or it is only the superficial learning. Superficial learning is not of any use at all if you cannot apply that. Right? Say, for example, if I tell you how to compute your income tax, theoretically, you know how to compute, but if I give you the data of income of some individual and tell you to calculate the income tax, you are not able to calculate, then that is absolutely useless knowledge. In the process of test, you will understand whether what you have understood that you can apply or not, because application of the knowledge is the key of success. Knowledge is useless. Knowledge and application of that. So real thing is application plus knowledge. Only knowledge, not of any use. So in the when you are appearing for the test or you are taking the test, you are applying the knowledge. And another reason that by chance if you find that you are not performing as per the expectations in the test, this is the time to prepare more. Rather than failing in the main exam, it is always better to fail in the test. Right? Take the test. Last, most powerful thing. Teach. Whatever you have learned, whatever it may be, if you think that you have understood correctly, explain it to somebody. Maybe your colleague, maybe your friend, whosoever he may be. Explain that to that person. If you can explain that to somebody else, then you can believe that you have really understood it. This is one thing where majority fails. I'm not telling you to take the proper class. No. Unless you are inclined to become a good teacher, that is a different story. But what is expected is you should be in a position to explain. Don't presume that yes, I have read and I have revised so many times, I can always teach. No, teaching is a skill. So in the process of teaching, you know how to present your subject. So teaching is two things. Number one, you will learn the presentation skills, how you should present so that it is understood by the person in front. Number two, you can make the good presentation only when understanding is clear. So two things will happen when you prepare for the purpose of teaching. Number one, you get the clarity. Number two, you get the complete flow. And that is required for the best scores in any exam, whatever be the yearly exam, whether it is a professional exam or this is academic exam or it is a competitive exam, doesn't make a difference. Every examiner likes a good flow of presentation, and if you know how to present your answer well, success is bound to be yours in the exam. Friends, these are few tips before I take you to the formal course. Do follow these things throughout the course and I am going to guide you. Friends, once again, fixed time, fixed place. And being a student of online course, certainly this requires a different type of self-discipline. Very powerful. Whatever you decide, follow that. Time you decide, place you decide, all the decisions are yours, but whatever you decide, follow those strictly. See you in the next lecture, which will be the formal lecture of your syllabus. Thank you.